Hello, boys and girls. So it is Miss Bauer here, second grade, room 17. And I'm going to read a book to you today that is a little bit different than what I normally read. So normally I like to read fun, upbeat books, but this book is a little bit different. So this one is called The Invisible Boy. And I really love this book because it gives you an idea of what people maybe go through when they feel invisible sometimes. Have you ever felt invisible before? So have you ever felt like maybe nobody noticed you? Nobody was paying attention to you? How did you feel? How do you feel when you just feel like you're not important? And if you've never felt like that, I hope you never do. And if you haven't, I want you to think about how do you think those people feel? So today we're going to read a book about a little boy named Brian, and he is the invisible boy. He's not really invisible, but he sure feels invisible in his classroom. So let's go ahead and start reading. The Invisible Boy by Trudy Ludwig and illustrated by Patrice Baton. Remember, illustration means the drawings, the colors, right? Can you see Brian, the invisible boy? Even Mrs. Carlotti had trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Miss Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space. Brian doesn't. Have you noticed that in your classroom? Sometimes if the kids need a lot of help and a lot of, different needs, does it make you feel like you're invisible sometimes? When the bell rings for recess, Micah and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. The best players get picked first. Then the best friends of the best players. Then the friends of the best friends. Only Brian is left, still hoping and waiting. JT glances in Brian's direction and just as quickly looks away. We've got enough players for each team, he tells the others. Let's play ball. Why do you think that Brian is a gray color? I want you to make a prediction. Why do you think everybody else is a color, but Brian here is not? He's just a gray. In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. The rope swing over the pool was awesome, said JT. Yeah, so was the water slide, added Fiona. That was the best pool party ever. I'm so glad you guys had fun, says Madison. Everybody did, except Brian. He wasn't invited. He's still gray. Again, why do you think he's gray? Why do you think everybody else around him has a color and he's just gray? At choosing time, while the other kids played board games and read, Brian sits at his table doing what he loves to do best. He draws fire-breathing dragons and scaling tall buildings. Look, there's a little dragon. It says, "Thank you for toasting my marshmallow." Oh, the guy says it, not the dragon. He says, "Thank you for toasting my marshmallow." Space aliens locked in intergalactic battles. This alien says, "I got you now." Pirate says, "Crackers, arg! Yay! Arg!" Greedy pirates digging for treasure. And superheroes with the power to make friends wherever they go. Hi! Hi, friend, have a cookie! So it looks like Brian really likes to draw. He's pretty good at it. On Monday morning, Mrs. Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student, to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. At lunchtime, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. What's that? Asks Madison as she points to Justin's food. And Justin says, it's bulgogi. And they said, bull what? Bulgogi, it's Korean barbecue beef. My grandma made it for me. It's really good. Do you want to try some? No way. I'd eat booger ghee. That's what they said. Not funny. Look at, there's Brian. And the kids laugh, all of them. That is, except Brian. He sits there wondering which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible. The next day, when Justin goes to his cubby to put away his backpack, he notices a piece of paper with his name on it. Justin, I thought the bulgogi looked good. Brian, yum. It looks like Brian wrote Justin a letter with his skills. His skill is drawing. That was so nice. Let's make a prediction. Do you guys think maybe they'll be friends? That was nice that Brian did the first move. At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing. Okay, so it looks like Justin says, you're Brian, right? Justin said, yeah. And Justin said, thanks for the note. Hey, Justin, Emilio calls out from the tetherball court. You're up next. Sorry, I gotta go, says Justin. By the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds before taking off. So look at Brian. It looks like he's starting to get some color in him. Why do you think he's starting to get color? He's not as gray as he used to be. That's awesome. Back in class, Ms. Carlotti asked the kids to team up in 2s or 3s for a special project. The kids scurry around the room to pair off. Brian heads towards Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. Find someone else. Brian looks at the floor, wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. And it says, Justin said, Miss Carlotti said we can have up to 3 people in our group. We're only 2. Come on, Emilio, let him work with us. Emilio says, okay, I guess. So look, when Emilio wouldn't let him in, he was gray. Now that Justin asked for Brian to be in the group, it looks like he's starting to get his color back. Mrs. Carlotti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in this photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. Whoa, cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think live in that house like that? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. Brian smiles as he takes out his lucky pen. There they are. Looks like they're having a great time. Even Emilio, he's being so sweet. There they are. Looks like they're all participating, which is nice. All right, and then there's their presentation. He is a pretty great drawer. It's lunchtime again, Brian's least favorite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else but him. Brian, he hears someone shout. Hey, Brian, over here. Brian turns and sees Justin waving him over. Emilio nods at Brian as he makes room for him at the table. Cookie? Thanks. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all. And that's it. So guys, I think the moral of this story is treat people with kindness. Because when you treat people with kindness, it can really make somebody's day. Somebody that you see is lonely, ask them how their day is. Give them a smile. I want you to think of things that you could do to make somebody else's day. Have a good one. Bye.